All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Unlock 3.0 guidelines to come into force from 1st of August. Yoga institutes and gymnasiums allowed to open. Schools and colleges to remain closed till 31st of August. Maharashtra government extends the statewide lockdown till 31st of August in view of spike in COVID-19 cases. New Education Policy 2020 aims to have a single regulator for higher education institutions, multiple entry and exit options in degree courses, and common entrance exams for universities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails New Education Policy, says it will transform lives of millions of people in the times to come. In Rajasthan, Governor Kalraj Mishra accepts the state government's proposal to convene State Assembly session from 14th of August. Last date for filing of income tax returns for 2018-19 extended till 30th of September. Union Home Ministry has issued new guidelines for opening up of more activities in areas outside the containment zones. The process of phased reopening of activities has been extended further in Unlock 3, which will come into effect from 1st of August. The new guidelines issued yesterday are based on feedback received from states and union territories and extensive consultations held with related central ministries and departments. A report.
Restrictions on movement of individuals during night have been removed. Yoga institutes and gymnasiums will be allowed to open from 5th of August. In this regard, standard operating procedure will be issued by Health Ministry for ensuring social distancing. Independence Day functions will be allowed with social distancing and by following other health protocols. Schools, colleges and coaching institutions will remain closed till 31st August. International air travel of passengers has been permitted in a limited manner under the Vande Bharat mission. Further opening up will take place in a calibrated manner. All activities except metro rail, cinema halls, swimming pools, entertainment parks, theatres, bars shall be permitted outside containment zones. Social, political, sports, entertainment, academic, cultural, religious functions and other large congregations will not be permitted. With Divakar, Suparna Segya, AIR News, Delhi.
Activities in the containment zone shall be monitored strictly by state and UT authorities, and the guidelines relating to containment measures in these zones shall be strictly implemented. The Health Ministry will monitor the proper delineation of containment zones and implementation of the containment measures. States and UTs, based on their assessment of the situation, may prohibit certain activities outside the containment zones or impose such restrictions as deemed necessary. However, there shall be no restriction on interstate and intrastate movement of persons and goods. Maharashtra government has extended the lockdown in the entire state till 31st of August due to a spike in coronavirus cases. A notification issued by Chief Secretary Sanjay Kumar said the decision was taken as an emergency step to prevent and contain the spread of COVID-19. The notification said that as part of the state government's Mission Begin Again initiative, malls and market complexes without theatres, food courts and restaurants will be operational between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. from 5th of August. It said that large public gatherings and congregations will continue to remain prohibited and marriage-related gatherings will have only up to 50 guests. The maximum number of persons allowed at funerals will be 20. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray directed officials not to let their guards down and ramp up tracing COVID-19 patients and their contacts. More in this report.
CM Thackeray told a cabinet meeting that just lockdown is not important, but tracing of COVID-19 patients and their contacts should be the focus. He added that all municipalities across the state need to follow the rules strictly. Meanwhile, Maharashtra's COVID-19 case count has crossed the 4 lakh mark. State Health Secretary Pradeep Vyas has informed that COVID-19 mortality rate in Maharashtra now stands at 3.62%, while the case doubling rate is 27 days, which has improved to 70 days in Mumbai. Nivedita, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Gujarat, Chief Minister Vijay Rupani yesterday said that with a healthy, 74% recovery rate and just 4% mortality rate, the current coronavirus situation in the state is better than several other states. Chief Minister yesterday visited Rajkot and Vadodara yesterday to review the situation. Our correspondent reports that CM made several announcements to help both the cities to tackle the sudden spike in COVID cases. Chief Minister also urged the organizers to voluntarily cancel all the immediate religious celebrations such as Ganesh Chaturthi, Janmashtami, Muharram in wake of the pandemic, and said if the COVID-19 situation prevails, Navratri celebrations will also be cancelled. A report.
Chief Minister Vijay Rupani announced an additional aid of rupees 5 crore for both the cities to control the pandemic. He said COVID-19 testings will be doubled in both the cities. Additional 2,500 bed capacity will be created in Rajkot to treat COVID patients. On the lines of Ahmedabad, disabled vendors, shopkeepers, door-to-door garbage collectors will be screened and will be issued passes in Rajkot. Door-to-door surveillance will be carried out once in a week at Padra, Dabhoi and Sauli in Vadodara city, which are emerging COVID hotspots. State will further ensure sufficient stock of ventilators and medicines at Sayaji Rao Hospital in Vadodara. Aparna Khun, AR News, Ahmedabad.
In Madhya Pradesh, the state government has decided to conduct a sero-surveillance study in 3 major cities, Indore, Bhopal and Ujjain, to control the rising cases of corona infection and to understand the infection rate. The number of COVID-19 cases in the state climbed up to 30,134 after the 970 new cases were reported in the past 24 hours. With 14 patients succumbing to the infection during the day, the death toll rose to 844.
The survey will be conducted under the supervision of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS Bhopal. AIIMS Bhopal Director Professor Sarman Singh told AIR that the survey will be started from Ujjain as the death rate is the highest in this holy city.
मध्य प्रदेश सरकार ने हमसे कहा है 3 सिटी में वो करना चाहते हैं सीरो सर्वे, जिसमें कि इंदौर, उज्जैन और भोपाल। एक सिटी से 3,000 के लगभग सैंपल का हमने प्रपोजल दिया है।
Professor Singh advised to the people to apply a mask, wash hands frequently and follow social distancing when going out of the house. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Karnataka, the surge in COVID-19 positive cases continues with 5,503 new cases reported yesterday, taking the tally to 1,12,504. There were 2,397 people who recovered and were discharged from the various hospitals, and the total number of recovered people has gone up to 42,901. More from our correspondent.
The Karnataka Health Department has directed the district deputy commissioners to set up booth-level teams on the lines of polling booth model in order to effectively check the spread of the corona pandemic. These teams, consisting of local elected representatives, officials and volunteers, will track, trace and test symptomatic and their primary and secondary contact persons, monitoring and strict implementation of home quarantine guidelines among others. Meanwhile, the Karnataka government is conducting the Common Entrance Test CET today and tomorrow. Speaking to media, the Deputy Chief Minister Dr. Ashwath Narayana said that all the precautionary measures have been taken following the COVID-19 pandemic. Transportation facilities have been arranged for the students and the doctors will be available at the exam centers. 1.94 lakh students will appear for the examination. R. Murthy, AR News, Bengaluru.
In Tamil Nadu, Chief Minister Edapadi Palaniswamy interacted with the district collectors yesterday about the prevailing pandemic. The governor, Banwari Lal Purohit, has isolated himself for a week following 3 staff members turning positive for COVID-19. The total caseload of COVID-19 infections in the state has crossed more than 234,000 yesterday, as 6,426 more people were found positive. We have more from our correspondent.
The Tamil Nadu government is expected to come out with state-specific norms for the Unlock 3 that is going to be rolled out from the 1st of August. Now that the Union Home Ministry guidelines are made known and the district collectors have given their feedback, Chief Minister Edapadi Palaniswamy is slated to hear the views of the state medical experts team next. All the inputs by the collectors, experts and the center's guidelines are expected to be taken into account to arrive at the major announcement on the next phase of the unlock. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
The recovery rate of COVID patients in Delhi has further improved to 88.99%. It continues to be the state with the highest recovery percentage in the country. The city recorded a recovery of 1,126 patients in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of recovered patients till date to 1,18,633. A total of 1,035 new confirmed cases of coronavirus were reported in the national capital during the last 24 hours. With this, the total number of COVID cases in the city has reached to 1,33,310. The Delhi government confirmed that 26 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the total to 3,907. The national capital is also witnessing a decrease in the number of active corona cases gradually, and with a further decrease of 117 such cases, the total number of active cases stands at 10,770. With increased testing, the city has achieved the remarkable mark of conducting 52,327 corona tests per million of its population. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir yesterday recorded 540 fresh positive cases of coronavirus, taking the total number of positive cases to 19,419. Our correspondent reports that 11 more deaths were reported due to the virus, thus taking the number of people who died due to the infection to 352, including 327 from Kashmir and 25 from Jammu Division. The tally of positive cases in the UT has reached to 19,419, including 15,201 from Kashmir and 4,218 from Jammu Division. The total number of active cases in the UT are 7,749.
In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Nandakumar, Professor of Psychiatry, AIIMS, suggested to people to stay at home, spend time with family members and practice yoga.
Stay at home, spend time with the family, do household work, exercise, listen to music, sing with the family, do yoga, meditation, and take care of emotional needs of the family.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Unlock 3 guidelines to come into force on 1st of August. Yoga institutes and gymnasiums allowed to open, schools and colleges to remain closed till 31st of August. Maharashtra government extends the statewide lockdown till 31st of August in view of spike in COVID-19 cases. New Education Policy 2020 aims to have a single regulator for higher education institutions, multiple entry and exit options in degree courses, and common entrance exams for universities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails new education policy, says it will transform lives of millions of people in the times to come. In Rajasthan, Governor Kalraj Mishra accepts the state government proposal to convene State Assembly session from 14th of August. And last date for filing of income tax returns for 2018-19 extended to 30th of September. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
The Cabinet approved National Education Policy 2020 yesterday. A single regulator for higher education institutions, multiple entry and exit options in degree courses, discontinuation of MPhil programs, low-stakes board exams, common entrance exams for universities are among the highlights of the new education policy. Briefing media in New Delhi last evening, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said the Cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given approval to a new education policy for the 21st century. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank said New Education Policy 2020 will prove to be a milestone in the making of New India.
आज हिंदुस्तान के इतिहास में एक ऐसा अवसर आया है जब इस देश की ऐसी शिक्षा नीति जो 1986 के बाद स्कूली शिक्षा और उच्च शिक्षा में उसकी परिवर्तनकारी सुधारों के लिए एक महत्वपूर्ण रास्ता प्रशस्त करेगा। नए भारत के निर्माण में ये नई शिक्षा नीति 2020 मील का पत्थर साबित होगी।
Mr. Nishank said the Cabinet also approved changing the name of the Human Resource Development Ministry to Education Ministry. Secretary Higher Education Amit Khare said National Education Policy NEP 2020 aims to increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education, from 26.3% in 2018 to 50% by 2035. He said at least 3.5 crore new seats will be added to higher education institutions. Mr. Khare said affiliation of colleges is to be phased out in 15 years and a stage-wise mechanism is to be established for granting graded autonomy to colleges. Among the key reforms in the policy are a single regulator for all higher education institutions except for legal and medical colleges, common entrance exam for admissions to universities and colleges to be conducted by the National Testing Agency, and common norms to be in place for private and public higher education institutions. Secretary, School Education and Literacy Anita Karwal said, board exams will be low stake and the focus will be on testing concepts and knowledge application. She said, home language, mother tongue or regional language to be the main medium of instruction up to class 5th. Ms. Karwal said, school curriculum will be reduced to core concepts and there will be integration of vocational education from class 6th.
जो करिकुलम है हमारा वो इतना हैवी है कि बच्चे लाइफ स्किल्स, साइंटिफिक टेम्पर, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, उसके लिए उनके पास टाइम ही नहीं है. करिकुलम को एसेंशियल कंटेंट तक सीमित किया जाएगा ताकि समय मिले बच्चे को कि ये सब चीज एक्सप्लोर कर सके. वो प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड लर्निंग में जाएगा, एक्टिविटी बेस्ड लर्निंग में जाएगा, एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग में जाएगा.
We have a report from our correspondent.
National Education Policy 2020 will bring 2 crore out-of-school children back into the mainstream. The new policy aims for universalization of education from preschool to secondary level with 100% gross enrollment ratio in school education by 2030. The 10+2 structure of the school curricula is to be replaced by a 5+3+3+4 curricular structure. The policy also emphasizes on setting up of gender inclusion fund and also special education zone for disadvantaged regions and groups. NCERT will develop a national curricular and pedagogical framework for early childhood care and education for children up to the age of 8. A national group promotion policy will also be formulated. A new National Assessment Center Parak will be set up as a standard setting body. A common national professional standards for teachers NPST will be developed by the National Council for Teacher Education by 2022. Multidisciplinary education and research universities, MERUs, at par with IITs, IIMs, will be set up as models of best multidisciplinary education of global standards in the country. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has wholeheartedly welcomed the approval of the National Education Policy NEP 2020. In a series of tweets, he said, this was a long-due and much-awaited reform in the education sector, which will transform millions of lives in the times to come. The Prime Minister said, NEP 2020 is based on the pillars of access, equality, quality, affordability and accountability. He said, in this era of knowledge, where learning, research and innovation are important, the National Education Policy will transform India into a vibrant knowledge hub. Prime Minister added, NEP 2020 gives utmost importance towards ensuring universal access to school education. There is emphasis on aspects such as better infrastructure, innovative education centers to bring back dropouts into the mainstream, facilitating multiple pathways to learning, among others. An academic bank of credit will be set up to enable digital storage of credits earned from different HEIs, which can also be transferred and counted as a part of the final degree. The Prime Minister said, respecting the spirit Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, the NEP 2020 includes systems to promote Indian languages, including Sanskrit. Many foreign languages will also be offered at the secondary level. Indian Sign Language will be standardized across the country. He said aspects such as widening the availability of scholarships, strengthening infrastructure for open and distance learning, online education and increasing the usage of technology have received great attention in the NEP.
In Rajasthan, Governor Kalraj Mishra has approved the proposal of the Cabinet to convene the State Assembly session. The session will start on 14th of August. Before this, the Governor had returned 3 proposals of the State Cabinet for calling an Assembly session. Rajasthan High Court will hear today the petition related to the merger of 6 BSP MLAs in Congress. The court had yesterday accepted the writ petition of BJP MLA Madan Dilawar. Bahujan Samaj Party also challenged the merger in the Rajasthan High Court, which has also been attached with Mr. Dilawar's petition. In Uttar Pradesh, Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust has urged all Sri Ram Bhakts not to get anxious to reach Ayodhya on the occasion of Bhumi Pujan. The trust has advised them to watch the live broadcast of the Pujan on Doordarshan from their homes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will take part in the ceremony on 5th of August. In a tweet, the Trust said due to the ongoing pandemic, it was impossible to have public participation at the site. So, devotees may welcome this grand and divine occasion by lighting diyas at their house in the evening. A special gem-embedded dress is being prepared for Ram Lalla for the occasion. A report.
The survey will be conducted under the supervision of All India Institute of Medical Sciences.
In Ayodhya, Lord Ram's idol is dressed daily with clothes of different colors according to the day, and the family of Bhagwat Prasad and Shankar Lal is preparing the dress from generations. Talking to AIR, Bhagwat Prasad said that the dress for the auspicious day of Bhumi Pujan will be embedded with precious gems.
हम लोग धन्य हैं कि हमारे हाथों से बन रहा है। खासियत तो ये है, ये हरा पोशाक जिसमें पन्ना जड़ा जाएगा, मोती नवरत्न से जड़े जाएंगे.
Satyendra Das, the priest of Ram Janmabhoomi temple, said that Lord Rama will be in green dress since it is Wednesday.
बुधवार है, हरे रंग का कपड़ा पहनेंगे. ये ग्रह के अनुसार पहनाया जाता है. सोमवार को सफेद, मंगलवार को गुलाबी, बुधवार को हरा, बृहस्पतिवार को पीला, शुक्रवार को बादामी रंग का होता है, शनिवार को नीला, रविवार को लाल.
Along with Lord Rama, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrugna as well as Hanumanji will also be dressed in special clothes. With Rajendra Soni in Ayodhya, this is Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
Only around 1,000 Muslims will perform Hajj in Saudi Arabia today as part of downsized pilgrimage due to the pandemic. 30% of them are Saudi citizens, while the remaining 70% are foreign nationals residing in the kingdom. Marking the beginning of the 5-day pilgrimage, Hajj pilgrims converged at Meena yesterday. After offering pre-dawn prayers, they will proceed to plains of Arafat today for the main ritual of Hajj reciting prayers. They will spend the day there praying and asking for God's forgiveness. The pilgrims will listen to the Khutbah Hajj or Hajj sermon at Nimra Mosque and offer midday and afternoon prayers together before leaving for Muzdalifah in the evening. The pilgrims will return to Meena tomorrow morning for ritual of animal sacrifice and symbolic stoning of the devil. Around 2.5 million pilgrims, including record 2 lakh from India, performed Hajj last year. The Union Government has extended the deadline for filing income tax returns for 2018-19 fiscal by 2 months till 30th of September. In a tweet, Income Tax Department said, in view of the constraints due to the pandemic and to further ease compliances for taxpayers, it extends the due date for filing of income tax returns from 31st of July to 30th of September. And now, moving on to a special segment on development of people of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the health sector has witnessed considerable growth with the building of health infrastructure. The upgradation of medical facilities in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir had been the priority of the administration. Accordingly, several initiatives were taken up by the government in order to mitigate health-related problems of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Till January this year, more than 30 crores was incurred towards the settlement of medical claims submitted under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana has proved quite lucrative for the people of Jammu and Kashmir right from its launch in December 2018. It provides a comprehensive financial protection of 5 lakhs per family for a target of 6.13 lakh families. Under the scheme, more than 11.42 lakh e-gold cards have been generated so far and almost 3.5 lakh families have been benefited in Jammu and Kashmir. As per data, more than 30 crores have been spent on 58,409 medical claims of the beneficiaries. It is worthwhile to mention that Jammu and Kashmir is among the leading states and union territories in the country under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. Sunil Kohl, AR News, Srinagar.
In Jammu and Kashmir, Khadi Village Industries Commission KVIC has been at the forefront of rural development and is one of the important arms of the government. It is powered equally by programs and empathy to make a difference at the grassroots level. As the administration identified illiteracy and lack of employment as a root cause of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, it opened its coffers to the people of J&K, providing them with all assistance to set up their own manufacturing units and be the employment creators. KVIC facilitated setting up over 5,000 projects in J&K during 2019-20, creating nearly 43,000 jobs in the state. In Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory, 106 Khadi institutions are working. Of these, 12 are primarily dealing in production of Kashmir's globally acclaimed Pashmina shawls. More in this report.
Nearly 300 women artisans of terrorism affected families from Kashmir Valley used to stitch khadi rumal at the Naroda Center and were earning their livelihood. But when this entire country was under COVID-19 lockdown, it was the same group of women in Jammu who led the country in producing the most effective tool of fighting corona, the face mask. Rising to the challenge, the women started making khadi face masks as KVIC converted its Naroda Center into mass stitching center, and these women artisans took it upon themselves to produce cotton khadi face masks that were not only skin-friendly, washable and reusable but also the most affordable khadi product. A whooping 7.5 lakh khadi face masks were ordered by J&K government alone. This not only aimed at protecting its people from the disease but also to support the artisans in J&K during the time of economic distress. From the small town stitching center at Naroda, the khadi masks made their way to Rashtrapati Bhavan, Prime Minister's house, several central government ministries, state governments and public sector undertakings apart from a huge Indian population. R.K. Raina, AR News, Jammu.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Mauritian counterpart Pravin Jugnauth will jointly inaugurate the new Supreme Court building of Mauritius today. The inauguration is scheduled to take place through video conference in the presence of senior members of judiciary from Mauritius and other dignitaries from both the countries. The building has been constructed with Indian grant assistance and will be the first India-assisted infrastructure project within the capital city of Port Louis after the outbreak of coronavirus.
And now let's take a look at today's weather update. The national capital Delhi may see a generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. The minimum temperature was recorded at 23 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected to be around 34 degrees. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The city had a minimum temperature of 25 degrees Celsius and will have a maximum of around 30 degrees. In Chennai, the temperature will hover between 22 and 29 degrees Celsius. The city will see a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The city recorded a minimum temperature of 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature will be nearly 34 degrees. In Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 25 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while maximum will be around 35 degrees. The city is likely to see a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. In Srinagar, the temperature will hover between 19 and 32 degrees Celsius. The city is expected to see a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Ladakh will have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 18 and 30 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the minimum temperature was recorded at 17 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 35 degrees. It is expected to have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Muzaffarabad may have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The place had a minimum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius while maximum temperature will be around 35 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Government unveils sweeping changes for education, headlines the Hindustan Times. The Pioneer terms these as revolutionary. 10+2 goals, no rigid separation of streams, writes the Tribune. Doors open for foreign universities, 4-year UG with exit option. Flexible master, summarizes the Indian Express. Most dailies carry photographs of the Rafale jets on their front page. The Asian Age caption reads, birds have landed. Rafale jets arrive to boost India's air power, writes a Statesman. Gyms, yoga centers get nod to reopen in Unlock 3, highlights the Times of India. Tribune writes that the deadlock over convening the Rajasthan Assembly ends with the governor agreeing to call a session from August 14. A box item in Hindustan Times highlights that the CBDT has extended the deadline for filing income tax returns for the financial year 2018-19 to September 30, citing COVID-19 pandemic. The top story in Business Standard mentioned Maruti Suzuki posting first quarterly loss in 17 years.
And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Unlock 3.0 guidelines to come into force from 1st of August. Yoga institutes and gymnasiums allowed to open. Schools and colleges to remain closed till 31st of August. Maharashtra government extends the statewide lockdown till 31st of August in view of spike in COVID-19 cases. New Education Policy 2020 aims to have a single regulator for higher education institutions, multiple entry and exit options in degree courses, and common entrance exams for universities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails new education policy, says it will transform lives of millions of people in the times to come. In Rajasthan, Governor Kalraj Mishra accepts the state government proposal to convene state assembly session from 14th of August and last date for filing of income tax returns for 2018-19 extended till 30th of September. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.